How great would it be to get up close and personal with the beauty industry heroes we love and admire, and to ask them, how did you learn to do what you do? I'm Chris Baran, a hairstylist and educator for 40 plus years, and I'm inviting all our heroes to chat and share the secrets of their success. Welcome to another exciting episode of Headcases with the ever-talented, and if anyone deserves the title of GOAT, the greatest of all times, of hair color, it's today's guest, Beth Minardi. After graduating university and beauty school, Beth started her career at Clairol as the director of education. Her consulting with Clairol, Redken and Joico was instrumental in developing several important professional hair color lines. She's traveled the globe training thousands of color professionals. She's owned Minardi Salon in New York City with Carmine Minardi, which was a top color and style destination in America. Her celebrity stylist status had her prepping Mandy Moore, Sarah Jessica Parker, Julianne Moore, and Brad Pitt. That's just to name a few. As one of the industry's most awarded hair colorists, she's received the NAHA Lifetime Achievement Award. The Empowerment honored her as a ceiling crasher. Modern Salon named her one of the top 50 most influential hairdressers, and numerous times Behind the Chair named her as the Hair Color Educator of the Year. American Salon Magazine bestowed her as Hair Colorist of the Year. So let's get into this week's Headcase. Beth Minardi. Beth, welcome to Headcases. And my dear, it's been too freaking long since we've had a conversation. So I'm embarrassed by that, but really pleased that we've got you on here. So one more time, welcome.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you, Chris, it has been too long. And I'm so happy to be a part of Headcase. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You know what? Because I've done a few in the last while, and what excites me is that, you know, you've seen so many artists, like, and that's where you and we have Redken history together from, and I'm trying to even remember whether that was in the 90s, early or late. Regardless, we spent a few years together on the road together,
yes,
and what I'm loving is the fact of how some of the people that I interview is they went through that whole artist network thing. And then they started their own business, and they, like with you, your own product lines, etc. And you know, it's congratulations just for being one of the brave ones, going out there, sticking your neck out, and then still being true to the craft to this day. So, really impressed by that.
It's a wonderful experience. It's an art. It is an amazing business, and thank you. Yes, it is what I do.
You know, I want to talk about a little bit more about that in just a minute. But I always like to get from people that I don't know with your product line and with what you do. And I was online the last couple of days looking at all your videos that you have out there, and you have like thousands. So but I see everybody sees those, but I always think it's really important that people understand our hair story. How did we get into it? What happened, etc. So give us a little bit of your hair story.
My hair story is pretty interesting. When I was a little girl, I was always very interested in color. I don't know if my eyes were different, but I noticed colors in nature, colors in animals, colors in paintings, and it affected me. My mom would always get copies every month of Vogue magazine, and we would sit and go through. And of course, it was a different time. And isn't she beautiful? Look at these supermodels. Look at their hair. Look at their makeup. My goodness, they take care of their skin. Look at the way they and the stories about these people. And I always thought, then they would do, as you might remember, Chris, those split screen makeovers before and afters. And Doug Marvaldi, who was one of my mentors, would do these things and say, wow, look at these differences we create. And he would do little get-togethers for women in Winter Park, Florida. And they would have a carousel projector showing these split screens, and everybody would ooh and ah. And I thought, isn't it wonderful to be able to make a woman feel and look terrific, Now times have changed, and I don't even know if we're politically correct doing that anymore, which scares me. But I thought, isn't it lovely? I remember in college, I had a dorm mate down the hall who was also from Cocoa Beach area in Florida, and she was a pretty woman, but she really wanted to look great. And I taught her, I knew how to put on strip fake lashes, but they were little tiny ones at the time. They were really, and she thanked me as if I had given her $1 million. It changed her whole attitude. It seemed to her life. She went to class every day looking like holding her head differently. And I said, that's the power of image.
Yeah.
So, I graduated from college. I was teaching underprivileged children, the Head Start program, which was wonderful. And these were migrant workers' children. And in college, I learned how to teach, Chris, which is the same methods I use when I teach now, Redken, my brand, anything. The easiest thing to do is to copy someone.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest thing to do is to synthesize your own thought. That's creativity. So boom, 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 boom. And I also realized that being an underprivileged person, underserved I'm talking about without food, is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity. I had studied some theater in college and was asked to be in a movie playing a beaten up redneck gas station attendant. And I was mesmerized. I fell in love with the hair and makeup trailer. I just thought that was the greatest. So here I was teaching and going to school at night to get my master's degree. And I said, I am going to go to beauty school. Well, my father, I told him, and he said he was not a happy man. He said, what are you going to be? Some kind of a waitress and blah, blah, beep, 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 beep. But I did. And after I graduated, I met a woman by chance who had just retired from Clairol. And she said, oh, you're finishing beauty school. And I said, yeah. She said, and you went to college? She said, Clairol is looking for management trainees and consultants. Why don't I give you the address of the gentleman in New York? At the time, you had to send a resume and a photo. I never expected to hear from them. I did. They gave me a ticket for Eastern Airlines to fly from Florida to Atlanta, Georgia, to be interviewed, and I was hired.
And so, just so I've got that clear, you were still in beauty school, or
no, I just finished.
You just finished. Wow. So you didn't even have to go out and apply to a salon or anything. They just this intervention happened and you got the job.
Yes.
Wow.
But I will say beauty school was very different when you and I went. There was a whole bunch of on the floor with live people and a lot of work on the floor before. But anyway, no, I did not work in a salon.
Yeah, no, that's I just find that interesting. So tell us a little bit about the Clairol gig. First of all, what was that like? Just getting out of school, and now you're thrown into the corporate world. I know how hard that was for me after being in the hairdressing industry for X number of years, and then getting thrown into the corporate world. What was that like for you?
Well, my dad was from the corporate world, so I kind of saw that peripherally. And my grandfather, my mother's father, owned a business. First of all, you were asked to go to New York for 1 month to be trained. New York, and you get paid. And I was like that show, That Girl, when I was, New York City was it for me. And I loved it. So week number 1, you were given general info, and you were taught about semi-permanent hair color. Week 2, permanent color. Week 3, lighteners. Week 4, corrections and special effects. At the end of every week, we were given a test, an examination. And at the end of every week, if you failed that week, out you were, you did not get to stay.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Welcome to corporate world.
loved it. It was, but the training, I have to say, we were taken to the lab. We were taken to meet the chemists. We were taken to see how color was
Wow.
made. We were taken to the factory. We were taken to the appliance group. We were shown how they make and how they run product. It was very deep education. And the chemists gave us lectures on how lightener works and what it does to the hair. And we saw tensile strength changes. I mean, that was, and then later I got that from Dr. Cannell at
Right.
Redken.
Oh, God bless his soul. Yeah.
My God. So I was really learning. And at Clairol, my office was on the 5th floor in the executive office, but I was like,
Wow.
honey, I mean, I think they paid me $15,000 a year. I lived in a studio walk up, but I didn't care. I
Yeah.
couldn't take a cab. I couldn't go to a movie unless a guy took me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I worked, and I didn't work I lived in that. I lived at work. Part of my job was visiting salons, getting to know them, looking at their dispensary, asking them what they liked and didn't like. There were salons that hated Clairol. They were all Redken or L'Oreal, but they liked Clairol bleach.
Ah,
But
there's your in.
yeah, I mean, from all the oil lighteners to the powders but I had the opportunity to talk to them, and they would just let me know. I was this kid, and they were going to let me know how pissed off they were that Clairol was the drugstore and all that stuff. But I mean, I was looking at salons that were turning a lot of money in 1990.
Yeah.
1989, 19, and I was just a kid, and I got promoted a couple times. That was great. And I was because we would test product, I was able to go into the test salon and do half head tests and watch new shades and products either being okayed or tweaked. And I was able, thank goodness, to teach all across the country on stages, teaching them how to formulate, how to use Clairol, and how to succeed in their salons. I traveled all over the place, Chris. I went to little towns, big towns. I went in the snow. I went and I was by myself.
Yeah.
Now I had wonderful friends at the office, and my mom and dad were alive. My brothers, my sister. But I really got into this because I realized there's opportunity here, and I saw so many people who were successful, and I saw others who struggled. And they were even talented people, but they struggled. So our thing was the color of success, helping people succeed.
Yeah.
And as Jim Morrison used to say, earn a better living, live a better life.
Yeah. Do you? First of all, I want to just jump back there. When you got that job and you got your executive office, did you take the time to take a picture of that and send it to your dad?
Back then, you couldn't take a picture of yourself.
That's right, too.
No, but my dad did later. First, before I went to New York, I opened my big mouth, and they said, "Does anybody here speak a foreign language?" And I grew up in Florida. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But when I was like 11, we moved to Florida, and that was when a whole lot of Cuban people had come to Florida. So in ninth grade through college, I took Spanish, and my roommate was from Cuba.
Oh, wow.
So I said, I speak some Spanish. Well, they put me in Miami, Florida. Boom. So here I am, a little kid. When my brother got a U-Haul, moved. I was terrified. I was 24. Moved to where was it? North Miami, in this weird apartment with my kitty cat, and I had to go to salons in Hialeah where no one spoke any English. But Clairol had color charts in English and in Spanish, and the people seemed to like me. If you gave them a sample of something, what I learned is if you could give them no BS, no walking in, hi, I'm from, no.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. And if they're at their chair, you don't walk up to the chair. I'm Beth from Clairol. We have a new shade of Born Blonde toners coming out. Let me leave you my card, which was stapled to the new color chart. If you need anything, give me a buzz. And they would call me.
Yeah, wow.
And I would make appointments to go and talk to them. And they would tell me if they liked things. They would tell me if they didn't like things. It was fascinating. Then I did a show in Atlanta where the poor guest artist froze.
Uh-oh. That wasn't Chris Baran, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was a woman named Doris, and I said, "So Doris, tell me what we colored that hair, but why don't you tell me what you're doing to shape it?" And there was silence. So I said, "I think what she's doing is creating some long layers." I mean, I'm just
You're pulling stuff.
and and so at the end, the guy who was the VP and the division said, "Pack your bags. You're moving to New York."
Wow.
That was a year in purgatory in Miami. That was tough.
But I'm sure that there was the lessons that you got in there, right? Because you had to learn about sales. Sales is a different beast than standing behind a chair where where the client's coming to you.
But you know what I always thought? I thought, I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to teach them stuff.
Yeah.
And there was the pressure of, did you sell? But that can't, because if you clearly, first of all, never start talking about a product you don't believe in.
Right.
If you think it's shit, don't sell it.
Right.
But if you really believed, if this salon had this product, it would help them do a better job, explain why, and then it's up to them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I can so relate to, I remember when I first started with L'Oreal, because I was with L'Oreal before I joined Redken. And I remember being on a stage in Canada. Uh-huh. And I thought, man, I was the shit, because I had just won L'Oreal Color Trophy, probably by accident, and there was probably only 3 people entered. Oh. But nonetheless, they put me into the show. They said, well, you're really good. We could probably teach. And I went, oh, yeah, look at me, look at me. I remember being on the stage, and like Dora or Doris, I can't remember her name, I just froze. I didn't know what to do. Ted Squires was the L'Oreal regional manager at the time. Excuse me one sec. And he did the same thing you did. He'd just stand at the back of the room and ask me questions, and I'd have to answer. And I was half hiding behind this poor girl with long hair that I was trimming on stage. Wow, there's an educational experience. And I remember I could so relate to her, because that was to me was one of the most terrifying things of my life. And I know they say that public speaking is they rank that as more. They put it's death. And they say that above death is public speaking and fears, but it's not fear and it's not public speaking. It's public humiliation that's at the number one fear of people, and public speaking just allows you to be in that one. And boy, I'll tell you, when there was fear and humiliation in that, I can relate to her. And I guess for me, the only difference is I went, I can't sit on that. Because at that point I went, I never want to do this again. And I just couldn't stop at that. I said, I've got to go again. I've got to give it another shot, because I can't just let it sit and quit at just being.
But you did, Chris. You did it.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all did. And I'll bet to this day that Dora is thanking you for helping her along, because I know how much that meant to me when I was struggling through it and somebody getting through that other side. So God bless you for that one, girl.
Thank you.
What I love is where we were going in here is you got into, now you're working with Clairol, and I think it seems like you're right from the get-go, you were kind of preordained to have your old color line, because everything that I had just out of school, they put you in and they're teaching you everything, how it works on in corporate, and you're seeing what's happening in the test center, et cetera, and how they're producing products, et cetera. And then you went from there. How did the transition go from you and Carmine were brought on with Redken, and I don't remember the year. I remember just we were all on that same circuit together.
Yeah, we went. God, I think it was like 1991. I think. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff that happened along the way. I was managing national accounts for Clairol, and Clairol decided, this is very interesting, and I think about this now late at night. Clairol was criticized because Cellophanes was introduced by
Sebastian.
Jerry Cosenza.
Jerry Cosenza, yeah.
And Clairol, we had a semi-permanent line that was nice, but Clairol was invented when Mr. Schiller invented L'Oreal years ago, and Mr. Gelb and he became friends. Mr. Gelb was on his honeymoon with his wife and visited Paris, a wealthy family. And Mr. Gelb, who I met when he was like 90 years old,
wow.
He said, "Why are the women in Paris so much better looking than the women in America?" And the answer was, none of them have gray hair.
Oh.
So he met Mr. Schiller, who started, that's Mrs. Betancourt's great-grandfather. Okay.
Yep.
And he showed how he was making this in this apartment above a bakery. And Mr. Gelb bought some of the formulas and said, I won't bother you, but I'll sell it in America. So his wife's name was Joan Claire, and he named the color Clairol.
Oh.
It was for gray coverage.
Yeah.
So remember, hair color way before you and I were born in like 1900 or 1920 or something was for one thing, coloring gray hair, and you never spoke about it. Remember?
Right. I want to pause. I just want to pause you there, Franny. I don't want to lose that thought that you're doing. I want to continue on that.
This is the bridge. Okay. Go ahead.
No, well, if you've got a bridge in there, go for it, because I don't want to. I don't want to disrupt that.
So the thing was, Clairol was criticized for not making cellophanes, so they made jazzing, right? Yep. Jazzing was Clairol's version, and so now Clairol decided, cream hair. We better make cream hair color. So they put me in charge of that, with a guy named Bill Decker. But what happened was, how did we do this? Through the side. There was a very famous German hairdresser on 57th Street named John Gunther. And he had a club called John Gunther's Congress of Colorists, which he sold to Clairol because Clairol wanted the membership. Mr. Gunther wanted to create his own line of color and have the John Gunther only available to club members. They put me in charge. If you think this old German guy wanted to report to me, think again. A woman? Okay. His salon was Chanel number 5, 57th Street, like Chanel number 5. That is the Chanel building. Okay. So he wanted to import a color from Canada, which was loaded with nitro dye, which is 2,4-diamino anisole. And Clairol said, we can't use that color. So there was a Dr. Sloan in England, and Clairol was working on a cream color and said, we need to make a cream color to go up against him. We need cream color. Everybody has cream color. Hence was born Logix. Logix was my first baby.
Yeah, wow.
My baby's my Krista, but my product baby was Logix. 2 years in the making and the testing. And my job was what's Goldwell's best thing? What's L'Oreal's best thing? What's Wella's best thing? What's Schwarzkopf? So I had to learn all the brands, manage the Congress of Colorists, and create Logix.
Wow. So thank you, because I want to just let everybody know now I'm learning stuff that I never knew. And I thought that I've been around for 1,000 years and I knew most of this stuff. I didn't know that.
I bet you could tell me 1,000 things I don't know.
Well, I bet, because we all have our history in different areas. But I just want to say this because for everybody that's listening and watching right now, I just want you to know you're getting a history lesson right now.
Yeah.
So you know where because it's really important to know where this stuff comes from. And when I wrote down in my notes here, and I just put down, no wonder other companies wanted you, because you were a live comparison chart.
I am a comparison chart. I can't do a computer very well. My pie crust sucks. My mother used to say to me, "Your crust isn't flaky." I'm really not. I don't know how to iron very well. But I do know how. I love other things, and I adore hair color. Yep, I'm a living color chart, and there's no such thing as an exact comparison. There's no such thing. That's bullshit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, come on, Chris. But
no, I know, and I think what people want, So let's jump down that road just a little bit right now, because that's the first thing. I mean, let's face it. We know that corporations, their job is to knock on doors, make money, knock on doors, and do conversions, and get new doors into the company. Same as every business. That's the mantra of business itself, and. But I know the first thing everybody wants to know, is there a comparison chart? So when you say that, and you say that it's nothing is exact, and so what would you, if you had to talk to somebody right now and they were saying that you were switching lines, and rightfully so, what would you say to them about the comparison charts? What would you say to them as a new artist, somebody that goes, well, I'm looking for the exacts?
Well, what I can do is, like, if you're using Goldwell and you want to use this line, here's the closest. And if you use and you want that result, here's the closest thing I can give you.
Yeah.
And it usually means mixing two things together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's one thing. Then you have to ask, why do you want to change? If these are the exact things you want, is it price?
Yeah.
Is it that you're upset with the representative? Is that you didn't like the education? And then you have to say, you're not by yourself. As you transition to this new brand, I'm here to hold your hand.
Right.
That's what I do now every day on my website, Chris. People,
Yeah.
it's now $6 to join for 3 months. That's
Wow.
$6.25, because I know that there are kids out of school. There are people, it's $25 a year. But I said, you know what? Try me for 3 months, because I am your teacher. If you're scared, you ask me a question, I get back to you right away. And every other day I do a thing called Beth's Posts, where I
Yeah.
teach you a short hair color lesson. There are more than 250 hair color lessons on there. And my teaching in my master classes is to help you regardless of the brand you're currently using. So I have L'Oreal users, I have Wella users, I have Matrix users, I have Artego users, I have Schwartz, and it's wonderful, because now we're a community of colorists. We're not a
Right.
community of one brand. And this person will
Right.
say, I tried that, but here's what happened. Then somebody else will say, yeah, but I tried that, and here. So now it's an interactive collective
Yeah.
of wonderful, it's Chris drove from Vancouver to Seattle. Well, he used this road. Well, I did it too, but I had trouble, so I used that road. Nobody's wrong.
Right. Right.
And so it's passion. It's letting them know you didn't do anything wrong. Or here's what I learned when I was a kid, Chris Baran.
Yeah.
I used to think that if Clairol said to do this and I did it, everything was going to be perfect. Remember this, everybody listening. In most cases, not all, the final say on a color chart or what is marketing.
Yeah.
And the marketing and salespeople, see, where I want is that education, sales, and marketing work as a threesome.
Yeah.
It isn't sales and marketing hating one another and asking education and then dicing up education so they can get it out. I used to have people say, you better hurry up and approve that shade, because we got to launch. We don't ship shit. If it's not,
Right.
and I stayed, come on, and we could get it right. We got it right every time. And people didn't like me for that, because I'd say, we're almost there, and I will not let you work harder on this than I do.
Right.
Let's go. So yes, if they're changing.
Beth, I want to pause you right there, because I want to make sure we didn't miss the access site that you have, because
Thank
I know
you.
as soon as we said that, and you said $6.20, I mean, that's even less than a Starbucks coffee.
That's what I say. I have a free Facebook page with thousands of people but I say, will you please join for $6.25? And 3 or 4 join, which blows me away.
Yeah.
Because
You know what gets me there is, number one, well, what gets me is that I have a business partner, and we know the expression is, if you got no skin in the game, then it's not worthwhile. So you got to put some skin in the game. So I think $6 and change is like
nothing.
peanuts. But here's the point that I'm getting. Number one, I want the people to know, because as soon as you said that, I know there's people out there going, Beth Carmine is going to be educating me, and it cost me $6.20. So where do they go? What's the name? Where do they go?
Here's what they do. It's so simple. And I post this every day on my Facebook. You go to, it's a link, HTTPS : H, and then / in all lowercase letters, Beth Minardi, hyphen or dash,
Yeah.
all lowercase, all access, all stuck together, all access, all lowercase, .com/subscription.
Yeah.
When they press that, it takes them to a page and it's me waving, going, come on, join us, 3 months. When they log in, they click Beth's posts and they read all my lessons, whichever ones they want, and they can either comment or ask a question. I have ladies this morning asking me, Beth, I have a woman coming in. I don't know what to do. Her hair always grabs dark around the front. But when I answer that question for her, it's private. Nobody has to know that Susie Jones had a problem. Susie Jones is my friend. I'm her friend. Nobody sees that. So it's private VIP learning, Chris, and I love it. But what gets me is I have 20,000 people who follow me on my Facebook for free.
Wow.
I need, this is my business. This is what I'm doing now. And I'm teaching, I'm teaching master classes, and I'm happy. I teach all over the country. I have 3 coming up. Salons host them.
Yeah.
So I come to your salon.
Well, I know you're just, I don't know if it's past or there, but I was talking to one of my dear friends, and you're doing a class for them up in, I believe they're in Pennsylvania or
There's one in Boston coming up. There's one in Indianapolis coming up. There's one in Memphis. I was last year in Pittsburgh, my hometown. I loved it. But, when people want to host, then their salon staff comes for free, but they have to let me have some people
come in.
There's several ways to do this. I can go for them privately, or other people come and pay me a tuition. I love it, but it's real up close and personal. It's all day from 10 to 5. They have lunch. They get a diploma, and it's all about color, and and it's for them to exchange ideas.
And it sounds like it's branded. It's on your color line, yeah?
My color line's dead, Chris.
What? I bet we have something in common. I have this love-hate relationship. I hate paying for something that I'm not using. I hate working in a small, cramped box. Yet, I love working in a cool salon that impresses my clients, and I love the culture and synergy of a team while enjoying the freedom of being my own boss. You too? What if all that was available to you at the salon you rent from? Meet Artist on Go, a game-changing way to rent salon space. With Artist on Go, you only pay for the time you're behind the chair. You can choose a salon that fits your vibe, location, and amenities. With Artist on Go, you're a part of a stylist community, not hustling alone. Plus, you get to enjoy perks like clean towels and back bar supplies. Check out Artist on Go, built for stylists serious about their clients and growing their brand without the hassles of managing a space. Here's the kicker. You can save more than 50% on your rent. To find out more, go to bit.ly/artistongocb. That's bit.ly/artistongocb.
My color line was discontinued. It has been for 5, and people are still begging for it because the investors said they didn't want to put any more money in it. And I sold all my jewelry. A friend gave me money. I put in $65,000 and they stopped. So first of all, you could buy it direct, but it was a Cosmoprof. One Cosmoprof wouldn't have all the shades and would charge $5.95. So you'd get what you could. Now you'd drive 11 miles to the other Cosmoprop store that had the shades that were missing at the other store, but the product was $6.40.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you saw, but there's a look of shock on my face.
Honey, and do you know people still beg for my colors?
Yeah.
Beg. Look, nobody needs every single, if you have a level 3, a 2, and a level 4 of a neutral, you can make a level 3 by mixing a 2 and a 4 together. Yeah. You do not need every single level of every single color. And I had permanent creams, alkaline cream demis, and liquid like Shades EQ, an acidic liquid demi.
Wow. Well,
over 1,000 salons bought me direct. direct.
Good for you. But you know,
The company that did that for me was being pressured by Cosmoprof that the other manufacturers didn't like me succeeding so much.
Oh,
And it
interesting.
broke, honey, look at me. But smart cookies can't crumble.
Well, there you go. So that's first of all, I can't even imagine what the news of that would feel like, because I didn't know that. I mean, I'm shocked right now that I thought that was still going and going strong. So,
Well, see, I didn't reach what corporations call it critical mass. So I said to the sales direct manager or VP, what's critical mass? I had sold more than $6 million of my product in about a year. And they said, well, critical mass is $8 million. You didn't reach it, so we're going to discontinue you and make our own cheaper brand of color called Lumashine. Do you want to work on that line? I said, now, wait. I'm selling Mercedes-Benz. You want me to sell Buicks?
yeah,
And how do I tell my lovely followers, don't buy my product? It was an emotional and moral thing, honey.
yeah.
And look, Joico was very kind to me. They needed to make money. They have investors, and Cosmoprof is very, very involved in the management of Joico at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. The things
Ouch.
we learn every day. God.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? Many of the people who I taught then still follow me. And guess what, Chris? Remember you and I were teaching, I think one day in Chicago. And at the time I started writing that, I stood in the back and I watched you, big stage. And I remember you, and I thought, oh, Chris is so great. Because I was supposed to go on after you were doing your thing, and then you were going to come back out. And I had just started writing the Shades EQ monthly newsletter.
Right.
But then Redken would mail those in an envelope to salons. People would open it, and they were given by their sales rep a binder to put these in. Do you know, last year I was teaching, and a couple were holding up their Shades EQ binder. That binder I did in like 1996, 1997. That made me feel good.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know, I mean, first of all, and I'm going to say the word that's coming to my mind is the dent, but I think it was more like a massive, huge mark that you've made on the industry just with everything that you know about it. But I have to say this, yeah, and I have to say it now. I know why you can't make a pie crust. You don't have any damn time. How much
with
time
the ice water and the spoon, like my mother. But I did have time, and my other time was with my precious husband and my daughter, and she had a pony. You know what I did? I dyed the horse.
I heard that. Tell me about it. No, I heard the story, but it wasn't from your mouth. I want to hear the story.
Well, one time when I was with Clairol, somebody had, in Florida, they had a black Angus cow that they were putting in and it'll show you, I wanted to take, what happens to black hair when it's bleached by the sun? It turns red. What happens to black human hair when it turns, okay, so this poor cow was black on its legs, but its whole back was red. So I had on big rubber gloves. I used black hair color, and I wet the cow. I dampened her. She was very sweet. And I curried it in, because I know how to curry a horse. The cow's the same thing.
Uh-huh.
You curry, and I let her sit for 15 minutes, and I rinsed her, and she had beautiful black hair for the cow show. Okay, so Krista had several. I had every horse in the barn. The kids would go, Mrs. Minardi, will you make my horse color shampoo? I said, oh, let's take a look. So, oh yeah, every horse had a different name on the bottle. Okay, Krista at the time was with a Pinto pony, which was white with brown spots.
Uh-huh.
So I said, well, I better first do the brown. So on all the brown spots, I used Artec brown walnut shampoo.
Uh-huh.
I rinsed. Then I went back with the white Artec on the white plate. Oh, God. And I scrubbed. So I will say, and the horse was professionally braided. My daughter won first place. So the judge did say, young lady, your horse has a fabulous coat. Then later she had a gray Arab and Alpine, and I bleached mids to ends, his tail with a lightener to get off. And then I used a silver toner and I, of course, thoroughly conditioned. But it was, you know what? Color is everywhere. Come on. So, but yes, my passion was my home, my child, my husband, my business. But there was personal and there was business.
Yeah. What? So, did any of those horses or cows ever send you a testimonial or anything? That would have been nice.
Actually, Leland Hirsch took Lucy's picture and goes and said the studs at Swan Creek Farms were running color as Beth Minardi colored, and it was a picture of Krista on the horse with the beautiful color.
Yeah, for those who didn't know Leland, he was the owner of Art Tech then,
and now he's the owner of Celeb, and their color shampoos and conditioners are terrific.
Oh wow! Yeah. I've got to get him on here.
He just came out with a whole styling line this week.
Really?
Brand new called Celeb.
I've got to get him on. Got to get him on here.
He's one of. You know what he taught me? Years ago, we were doing this program with John Gunther at the Waldorf, and Leland and I stepped into the vestibule for a moment, and he said, "I'm going to tell you what Goldwell does that's right." And he puts it in his Lelandese. What you put here, you don't put down here.
Here, yeah.
This don't need, which was Top Sheet Permanent, Baran's Acidic Demi, which that was Shades EQ too.
Yeah.
So color balancing and taking care of the hair with acidic was introduced to me in his vernacular long ago.
Yeah. As blessed as it was. Excuse me. Yeah. So I was having a conversation, I think a day or so ago with another artist on there, and I never got to bring it up, but I wrote it because I've just got it in my notes here above, because this was on Monday, or I should say just last week on Friday. And I wrote down, but I never got a chance to do this, and because that person was talking about solving problems on people that have like disastrous hair stories, and I wanted to bring up on there, and I'm like 99.9% sure this was your line, because I can remember you being on stage, and I think it was you that said, "Look if you're coming to me and if your hair was like a steak and it's now overly well done, I can't take it back to medium rare."
Once a steak is well done, you can't make it medium rare.
Yeah. But I always remember that when you said that, and that I think when you teach, and that shows you as a teacher, that when you can give analogies and stories, etc., that people can relate to, that it sticks in them, because you're taking it from your world as what you're teaching, and they might not know, making analogies in their world that they do know, that they can have a hook with. And I think that just makes you as a great teacher as well. So that was awesome sauce. I just love it. So let me ask you this, just a couple of things. Just I'll have to ask you this I might be that we've already covered it, but what was the most difficult time in your life or your career as you went through this?
Wow. There were a couple. Losing in one moment, realizing that everything I believed in my life was false. I lost my husband in a minute. I didn't lose him in a minute, but I found out in a minute. And I thought of salon survival. We were a marriage of two people, a marriage of two humans and two hearts and souls, a marriage of cut and color working together. Our salon was what we both, aside from our child, it was our passion. And I think back, the moment knowing that my marriage, no matter what I could do, you can have you ever gone to a restaurant and had soup or something and they gave you those little packets of crackers that are wrapped in cellophane? Mm-hmm. I want you to think of taking that package of crackers and crumbling it up in your hand and then saying to someone, now put it back together.
Oh, right.
I'm a very trusting person, and if you tell me something, I believe you.
Yeah.
And my husband had chosen to care for and tend to another woman for a very long time and hide it from me. And he was so good at it that, and he would say negative things about people who cheated on their wives. And when I found out that it was a person who I thought was my very good friend and who ran all the money in my business, and that this had gone on for a long time, for a while, my world ended. Everything. And 16 years later, I'm not completely over it. But it's a lot better than it was before. And I realized I have two choices here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm having like a little breakdown here, but I have a daughter who cannot see her mother fall apart. I have 30-something people working for me in this beauty salon. So after my day, I literally I got in my dog's bed. I was in the dog's bed, and then I was banging my head up against a wall, and my sister-in-law was a dear and came over. And I figured I better get back to work tomorrow morning because I have a color class I'm teaching to my group at 9 o'clock, 9 to 10. Yeah. And what happened was our building, which was great on the corner, right across from Barney's, 61st and Madison, next door to Tony and TG, was bought, and they were going to gut it. So they gave you 1 year to get out. So I had 1 year to figure out what I was going to do. And Andrew Finkelstein helped me, but it was hard trying to find a place to take my team. And I really tried. I went to marriage counseling trying to, while my husband said he was sorry, he never said, please take me back. I love you. Mm-hmm. And I think being a woman's hard, Chris. And there are women who, most of the people, I'd say 70% of the people who follow me are women. 30% are guys, great women. And here's what it is. As a young girl growing up in the late 50s and the 60s with the Leave It to Beaver kind of mom, mm-hmm. Those women were kind of doing what they were told, and then the husband was bored of them or thought that it was a financial bullshit because the wife stayed home and ran the vacuum. And there were sexier, prettier women at work. So my mother always said to me, you finish college and you get a job. Now, my mother was a college graduate, mm-hmm. but she did the Leave It to Beaver, stay at home thing. Women, there's many choices people can make, and those are their own personal choices. I met Carmine by accident. I was taken to lunch by Sharon Esch, who was the head of publicity of Clairol, and Robert Oppenheim, who was the president. Mm-hmm. And we went to this, and they said the Chadwicks, former British people who were working for Clairol, were working on a book because Clairol was going to introduce a whole line of hair care products from the Chadwicks. And they had an unlimited budget to do a fabulous photo shoot. So Sharon said, why don't we stop by the photo shoot? You know how in New York, all the big places, studios. So in we go, and John and Suzanne were there with the models, which were beautiful, the makeup people, the photographer, which was great. And they said, we'd like to introduce our team, Pearl and David and Danny and Carmine. And I said hello to them. That's the first time I ever saw him. And they were all working with the Chadwicks on this hair. So I was dating. I was an introduction. That's how I met him. When I was working with this Congress of Colorists, here's what I learned, Chris, and this is how valuable everything you did for Redken on that stage was. You can have the most beautiful model with the most beautiful figure, the most beautiful face, the most beautiful color. If that hair ain't styled right, it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So style, and with Mr. Gunther, I mean, he didn't want models walking down the stage with their hair still wet. You're going, dear God. So I hired Carmine Minardi and David Velasco to finish the hair at our programs. That's how I met him.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that, and at one point, Carmine told me he resented me. I guess. And I said, but every cent that I made, I put in our bank. I think for men, it's very difficult to have a wife who's, I don't even call myself successful. I was good at what I did. Yeah. So it all blew up in my face. Kaboom.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky because we started out, we were working with Clairol Logics. I never had to buy color, but I bought I bought Goldwell stuff to keep my brain right.
Yep.
Then when I was with Redken, of course, I used everything Redken, loved it, but kept understanding what's new out there. And Redken was great. I loved it. I loved it for a long time. Then when I found this out, it was when I had wasn't working for Clairol or Redken, and I needed to find something else. And I needed to keep that salon going until I found a new place. And Carmine had said, well, maybe we can stay in business together. And I said, if I had not loved you, I could.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't trust you. And I felt he was under a lot of pressure, sadly. Yeah. He also had very needy family, very needy parents and sisters. And I don't think I was ever his number one. I was part of his group. But, a wife sometimes needs to feel she's number one, at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. He was a wonderful father to Krista. Couldn't be better. And now I think he's happy. Okay. I think he's okay.
I'm listening to this, and there's a parallel in my life with it too. My mom always talked about with my mom and dad. They would, I was only, I think I was 6 when they got divorced. And mom, not until years later. I think I was probably married and had kids at the time, but I remember mom said, it's interesting. I always loved him, and I still do. But here's the part that I found was really interesting because, I think it was probably some parallels in what you went through with what she did. Uh-huh. And she said, here's the funny thing and I hope I don't choke up when I say this. She said that the day they got divorced, and I guess it was done at a
like they do it at a court thing.
Yeah, it's a court thing.
Like a little office, yeah.
Yeah, and so they signed the papers, and they said and I guess they signed the papers. They had dinner after that, and then they spent the night together. And
makes me cry.
So,
wow.
Okay, squeeze
wow.
my butt cheeks. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, stop, Beth, stop.
But
okay.
So she said that next day when he left, she said that if he would have turned, he sat there and watched him walk away.
Yeah.
And she said, if he would have turned around, I would have taken him back. But he never turned around. Yeah. So, yeah, it was
Yeah. And I mean, his life has gone on, and he's had lots of girlfriends and this and that. But whatever. I think now he's with somebody, and I just hope that. But what's interesting now? She's a lucky woman, and I'll tell you why. Carmine's parents have passed away. Lovely people. His sisters and brothers all have their own lives. My daughter's grown up. He doesn't need to be tending to anybody else except this woman.
Yeah.
And his business and her needs and her child. And it's a different time in life.
Yeah.
And me, in Houston, Texas, you have to know, honey, I'm not fine. I would love to find somebody to be with.
Yeah.
And, it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, here's my wishes for you is that happens, and
your mother was an amazing person to tell you.
Yep. Yeah. No, it was,
You know what? I would have done the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So,
So
excuse me.
so when you were a little boy, then I want to ask you, from age 6 to when did you start realizing that this incredible salon venture could be something you'd enjoy? How old were you from 6 to when? When were you?
Well, you know what? It was interesting, Beth. Mom, obviously they separated, and then we moved up. It was obviously in Canada. We were in British Columbia. We moved back out into central Canada, Saskatchewan, more because that's where her family was from, etc. But I was raised with a single parent, but I don't feel that I missed out on anything. Because she was a great mom. She was in the business, hairdresser.
Oh,
Excuse me.
She was a hairdresser.
Yeah, she was a hairdresser. Well, when they divorced, we moved back to Saskatchewan, and she didn't have a trade. I mean, she was, believe it or not, she was a butcher at one time. So we always had great cuts of meat. But she just said she wanted to do hair, and she went. So I went to live with my aunt, and aunt and uncle, while she went to hairdressing school, and from there. But the reality was, and I've told this. I'm not going to beat this one to death. I've told it many times because it's true. But I never wanted to become a hairdresser. I just fell into it. My mom was a hairdresser, and I knew I couldn't get fired. So one day she took me out to have a pizza after as when I say, I wasn't like you. I didn't go to college. As a matter of fact, I always tell people when I was finished with grade 12, I'll repeat that. When I was finished with grade 12, grade 12 never finished me. But she said, what do I want to do? And I just said, well, I knew I couldn't get fired. So I said, I'll do hair. And she says, well, you're starting literally tomorrow. And I went to Marvell Beauty School in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
My gosh.
Yeah. And then it was all, I won't beat this one to death, but I had a wake up call one day, and then I discovered education, and that changed my life. So
God bless you.
Yeah, no, it's all there. And I'm hoping that that the people listening haven't had to go through as many tissues as you and I just did. But it's
this is great. This is a shrink session. This is good. We're getting it all out, Chris.
There we do, and and we're all better because of this stuff. And I just want to thank you for that candidness. I think for so many other people in our industry, we all go through that. And congrats on that, girl. It's kind of a hard segue right now, but just to go into our rapid fire. But maybe we both needed this quick answers just to free our minds a bit. So I'm just going to throw out some questions here. First thing that comes to your mind, and you talked earlier about the creative process that you go through. What turns you on in the creative process?
What turns me on is looking at something and seeing possibility. Ooh. When I look at something, I go, okay, what's in this picture? What's right? What could be better? And how am I going to do it?
Love
Possibility.
It.
Possibility.
Possibilities. Love that. And what stifles creativity?
Anxiety. Not feeling free to express it, and not being verbally able to put at ease a person who you want to benefit via change. That stifles it. And the need to make money stifles it. There are retouches I've had clients crit. I hate the color they wanted, but I did the best technical, not often, but then after a year, they'd start to trust me. But
yeah. No, and that's the critical part in there. So in life, what do you love the most?
Well, in life, I love my daughter. I love nature. I love trees. I love animals, except for serpents and insects. I love flowers. I love connecting with people.
Oh. And what do you dislike the most?
The current situation our country's in. I'm terrified about it. And just like most closed-minded people. Closed-minded.
Yeah. What's the thing that you love most about our industry?
the possibilities of helping a wonderful group of people succeed with joy.
Yes. And what do you dislike most about it?
The fear that what we once had as an experience and as a curated way of caring for people has gone to quick service, being managed by kids out of beauty school who do not know what they are doing. Not their fault.
No, exactly. But you're there as the remedy, girl.
I'm fine, honey.
Person that you admire the most?
It's currently a living or anybody?
Anybody.
Okay. There are several. One of whom I will say, of course, my writing teacher, Mrs. Norma Cohen, was one of the most influential people in my life because she would say, I said, I don't know if I should go in. Those jumps look pretty high. And she would put me up against a horse trailer and just say, what's the matter? You are well aware that you know how to do this. Now stop doing it. Put yourself together, center yourself, get on that horse and go. But that was never asked. She would never ask you to do anything she knew you did not know how to do.
Exactly.
But her grace, her posture, her strength, her passion. You know what? The excellence she asked for of me riding a horse is the same excellence I ask for with my staff in a salon and when those I teach.
Yeah.
She was a role model. A wonderful role model.
First of all, what was her name? Give her a shout out.
Cohen.
And what I got out of that was just her belief in you. I think that's the overriding factor, is that if you just believe in somebody, they will understand that and get it.
Also, her belief in her ability. She knew what she instilled. She didn't question, well, maybe I should have told her. Nope. She was very clear.
Yeah. Person that you wish you could meet.
Wow, there's a couple there. I met two of the people in the world I wanted to meet. I met them. It was great. I would say right now, Cory Booker, Gavin Newsom, Jane Fonda.
Wow.
And Bill Maher.
And what?
Bill Maher.
Oh yeah, I love it. I swear he must be Canadian because he's got so much sarcasm in what he does. So something that people don't know about you.
I'm left-handed.
Oh, and I didn't know that.
I'm left-handed, and I always wanted to learn to dive off the high dive in the swimming pool, but I was too scared.
I don't blame you. I'm terrified of heights. A month off. If you've got a month off, where would you go? What would you do?
I would grab my daughter and I'd go first class to my dream. My dream is London. I have a list of everything I want to see, eat, do, watch, photograph, go to Stonehenge, go to Bath, go to Highclere Castle, go to Highgrove. I have it all worked out, Chris. I'm there. and of course then shop and have fabulous treatments.
Yes.
That's it.
And good food.
Yeah.
Something that terrifies you.
Snakes, poverty, being alone all the time.
I have to give you it because I know you said snakes. I'll have to let you know that I am now graduated into being a snake handler. Only not by choice. We live in Arizona, so there's rattlesnakes around here everywhere, and we had them outside our front door. So I got tired of getting the fire department come in. So I got those long things that you can pick them up with, and Rita holds the bucket open and I put them in there, and then we go and release them somewhere else. So
God bless you.
Yeah. So you're safe. You're safe with snakes around when I'm around you.
Well, remember, it's not their fault that they were born a snake.
Exactly. And the thing is, they're more terrified of us than we are of them. So,
right.
Okay. Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Said with enthusiasm. Your favorite comfort food?
Oh my goodness. My homemade linguine and with a very spicy marinara.
Ah, love it. Something I don't know what this would be, but something in the industry that you haven't done, but yet you would still want to.
Yes, I'd like to. I'm very interested in what is happening with the scalp spa, with the steaming of the head. That's the next business, I believe, is the scalp spa.
Oh, wow.
The whole thing of healthy hair grows out of a healthy scalp. And finally, look what's happening in our industry. I mean, even Kerastase came out. Everybody has a new scalp regimen. Yes, love it.
If you had one do-over in your life, what would it be?
Oh, God. There'd be so many. I probably would not have left Clairol when I did to go into business with my husband. They begged me to stay. I knew Clairol was going to be sold in a couple years to Procter & Gamble. I probably should have stayed there, taken the golden parachute, and then worked for another manufacturer.
Got it.
Yeah, Jim Morrison. Yeah.
Tomorrow you couldn't do hair. What would you do?
Oh my! You mean if I couldn't work in a salon, if I couldn't teach,
couldn't do anything with hair, nothing to do with hair.
I would probably want to teach mornings in a program for underprivileged 4 and 5-year-olds.
God bless you for that one, girl. I've got one more question, but just before I do, I know we talked a little bit about your all access that you have, your access that you have to you. Where else, if somebody wanted to have you come in and speak or talk or do whatever, where would they go to get a hold of you?
Very easily. And it's on, first of all, they can call me on my cell phone. They can call my phone is on all the time. Yep. I can give you the number. Also, if they they can email me at bethminardi@gmail.com. My Facebook group page that has 20,000 colorists. Oh, there are only hair colorists on it. You don't go to Facebook. You go to Facebook group.
Right. Go to the private pages.
The name is the group is a long name. Conversations with Top Color Professionals by Beth Minardi. Conversations with Top Color Professionals by Beth Minardi. You ask to join. I ask you, will you be polite? Are you a licensed hairdresser? Where are you from? There's not a penny to pay. You click in.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, last question. Here we go. If you had one wish for our industry, what would it be?
It would be that when a new person graduates from a beauty school, that they were far more skilled and able not only to pass a state board exam, which means very little, but able to happily, correctly, and successfully serve clients no matter what the client needs.
Love it. Beth, this has been truly a wonderful experience. I've learned things. And as usually doesn't happen, we got emotional on this one, but it was because of truth. So I just want to say, thank you so much for giving up your valuable time and just being with us and just being so raw and open. So want to say thank you, and it was a pleasure having you on Headcases.
Such a pleasure. Please stay in touch. Let's do this again. I am looking for a place to be a color director. I am looking for a job. Everybody has a sell-by date, but hey, Jane Fonda's pushing 90 and she's going to make another movie. Yeah. I'm passionate about what we do, and I thank you for allowing me to be a part of this, Chris. You're the best.
Oh, thank you, love. And listen, that was just called manifest. We were just manifesting that right now. So that's what we'll make happen. So, okay. Love, it was absolutely a pleasure.
Oh, and all the best to you so much. Stay in touch.
I love you back. I will.
Bye-bye, honey.
Thanks again for watching this episode. And if you liked what you heard, remember to smash that like or follow button, depending on your preferred platform. And make sure to share it with anyone you know that might be a fellow Headcase. Headcases is produced by Cut Action Media with Marjorie Phillips doing the planning parts, Lee Baran on the video bits, and Adrian Taverner mixing the audio jazz.